in Kentucky is absolutely bipolar. And I have like a bajillion propane tanks in the back of this vehicle. Because the weather is insane. We went from the other day when me and Michael went to his doctor's appointment when it was like over 90 degrees and I felt like I needed to peel my skin off to get cooled down, to now we had like a freeze warning last night and it was below 30 degrees. And today I have a flannel, a t-shirt, and a jacket, a fleece lined jacket on, and it's still cool outside. Oh, just sitting here beside the river looking out and looking at all the dandelions and the purple dead nettle out here in this grass. Over there is a redbud tree, and I was like, I probably got a Walmart bag or some kind of bag in this vehicle. I wonder if people would look at me like I was really crazy if I get out there on the ground and over there by that tree and start picking stuff, just filling my bag with dandelions, purple dead nettle, and redbud, just pulling the blooms off the redbud tree right here in the middle of the it's considered the I guess downtown. But you know, a girl's gotta do what she's gotta do. We really and truly thought that we were finished with all this propane business. It's why we've had our Mr. Big Buddy heater in the house. It's because we hadn't refilled the big tanks, as we thought we were past the need for a heater. After the weather dropped again back down to 30 degrees and Michael had the day off today, I was like, let's just go refill all of it. We'll get the big ones filled, and then maybe we'll have some left in them by the fall, and we'll have a head start on next winter. Somebody's screaming. Never know what's going to happen. I hear a dog barking. Sounds like a coon hound. Who has a coon hound in the middle of downtown? Never know around here. Oh, I see a little robin. It's out there picking some kind of little flowers. They're little wildflowers. Little tiny, it's not the dark purple ones. It's their little tiny light purple wildflowers. Maybe picking bugs off of them. I don't think it'll be eating the flower. As I was going through some pictures, deleting them off my phone, there was this one talking about passing notes in the 80s and the 90s. Well, when I was at Mom's, a couple weeks ago, and I was helping her to do some spring cleaning in the bedroom, she said, there's a tote box in there that has some stuff of yours. And I was like, what is it? And she said, I don't know. And we started going through it, and it was like a binder that had, and I meant to show you guys, and I don't think I ever did. I may have to do that one video, but it was like a binder that had some certificates in it, and there was like this toy that was like a clacker toy. It had two round things on the end, and you shake it up and down and it clacks as you do that. Well, there was that, and then there was just like a little thing that had pictures of me all through my grade school years, and like report cards and different little things like that was in there. Well, there was also a note from me and one of my friends in high school, and it was just a note back and forth that we had like passed back and forth in class, and it was the only note that was in there, and I don't know why it was in there. It was just, I guess it had just been stuck in between some papers and just got left. But it said, it was like we had just like wrote back and forth, like she had wrote me something, then I had wrote her something, then she'd wrote me something, then I'd wrote her something. We'd run out of room on the page. We'd turned it over and written on the back, same way, you know, all the way down the page. Then we had rolled up the sides, across the top, down the sides, you know, everywhere you could find a place to scribble on the page. So I was sitting there reading it, and I was cracking up laughing because she was like, why aren't you riding the bus home with me? And I was like, because Mom wants me to come home. She wants me to eat a hot meal at home before I go to practice. It's nothing. The letter was, it was literally about nothing. But my son was there, and he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a letter that me and Jessica had wrote back and forth to each other." He was like, "Y'all wrote each other letters?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we wrote letters all the time. I mean, it was just a note that we had wrote back and forth." And he was like, "You wrote each other letters?" And he meant like letters you mail back and forth in the mail. And I was like, "It's just a note, Dalton." And he was like, "You mailed each other this back and forth?" And I was like, "No, we wrote it in class." He was like, "Why didn't you just send each other a text?" I just looked at him like, it's like, "Dalton, we did not have cell phones then." And I was like, cell phones didn't even exist then. And I was like, "Well, they probably did exist, but if they did, it was like a cell phone in a sack that was in your car." And I was like, that was not a thing. I was like, email addresses was like, at that point, like, I don't even know if like email addresses had like become a big thing yet then. Like when me and her was writing this letters, we was probably freshmen in high school. We didn't even start like really using email addresses to send emails back and forth until we were like juniors or seniors. And then that was only at school because neither one of us had a computer at home. So, we just wrote notes. It was just a thing that people did, that like in the old days, Dalton. People didn't used to have cell phones. He was so flabbergasted by that. He was just like, he was like, he just assumed that he was like, "Why didn't you just call her?" And I was like, he's like, "You didn't have phones?" I was like, "Yeah, I had a phone at home at the house on a cord that I could like call her, but like if we were at school, I wasn't gonna wait till I got home, wait till she got home and call her, I was like, I just wrote it on a piece of paper. She was beside me in class. I just scooted the paper over her shoulder. She wrote back. She scooted it back over to me. That's how he texted back in the day. He was still so like confused. He couldn't grasp that we didn't have cell phones and how the world worked back then. Just confused. He was like, "Well, so if you didn't have a computer at home, how did you like talk to your friends?" I was like, on the regular telephone. If we wanted to talk, we just called each other. And he was like, "Well, what if you wanted to show them something?" I was like, "Well, you had to wait until you saw them the next time, physically take it with you and show them. You couldn't just like snap a picture and send it to them and show it to them. That's not how the world worked back then. If you took a picture of something, you had to get it developed, and send it off and all that. The world was different back then." He was so amused by that. How, things in the last 25 years, they've changed so much. And I'm so grateful that I grew up in the part that I did and then have lived in this part now, that I straddled the line and I've got to be a part of both pieces of it. But I do feel like that this generation now is missing so much of what we had back then, because they don't have the communities that we did then. They don't have the social construct that we did back then. Things are so incredibly different. They have this, most of their social I don't know how to say it, but most of their communication is online, through phones, through computers. They don't, even when they're together, they can be sitting side by side with somebody and they'll be texting each other back and forth. They're not having genuine conversations. And I think that is something that this world truly is missing right now, is just community and conversation and closeness. That is something I really desire to have back. How many people actually these days visit their neighbor and sit down in the evening together and play cards? Because when I was growing up, I was probably anywhere from when I was 12 to 15. My cousin lived down the road from me, and me and one of my other cousins would go down to her house, and we would play Phase 10, like of the evenings or on the weekends. And we played Phase 10 so much, we would wear out a deck of cards in no time. We'd have to buy new cards all the time. And we would laugh and joke and just have a good time, and just, you know, my kids don't have that. They don't do that kind of stuff. That my kids don't even know half of their extended families anymore, because families ain't like they used to be. Everybody's spread out all over everywhere now, and they're not like the family was when I was growing up. We were all, you know, living fairly close together. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody was at each other's houses, and things are so incredibly different now. Anyway, it's just a rant or a ramble. Just an observation. Huh?
You can have it.
What do you want me to do?
No, you don't. I got
I was going
it.
to smash my fingers.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to put this under it? Well, how am I supposed to help you?
You want to know? You just want to.
Okay.
So, I'll have to tie it to it and everything.
Okay.
These are like a 200-pound.
Down. You have another strap?
Yeah, they kind of use full-time.
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted this to be. Okay.
I can turn it up there.
Want me to try to pull it back? We're going to try to tighten it. It's still pretty heavy even with that dolly.
Yeah, but once you pull it back, it's not bad.
Huh? No, I'm just in the way. I just am. I'm not helping in any sort of way.
Push on that.
On what thing?
Yeah, just
On
hold
this,
it.
pull it back,
That's a push.
forward? I don't know what you're talking about.
I was just saying you hold it so I can tighten it up.
Okay.
Want to try it?
I can try, but I don't know if I can do it. Oh gosh. I'll get out here and drop it and we'll have a big explosion.
Yeah, if it starts to go sideways, it will. You gotta hang on to it.
even reach them suckers. I could get these over here, but not the ones in the middle. I said I was going to pull them little ones forward, but I can't even reach them without getting in there. How much do these weigh for? This one.
It says on it.
No, this one.
Oh, about 35 pounds. Like,
It's not that bad.
no. These are. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much it's weigh. I think it says how many 29.8 kilograms. But it's supposed to hold 100-pound propane, but if they don't fill it all up, then you gotta weigh the tank. So I'm not sure.
Get it without climbing in. 67
Just the tank.
pound, just tank weight 67.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then it's supposed to get 100-pound propane, but I don't know if you really do.
Yeah. Careful. You'll hurt your back doing that.
I didn't hold it up. Oh, at the tailgates. That's why I was holding.
Hold on for one. Hold on, it's hung. You can do that. Where are these going?